Prior to the 1976 Olympic Games, I was testing skis in preparation for the Games at the Rossignol Summer Training Camp. All the Rossignol skiers were there, including one of my best friends on the circuit, U.S. skier Andy Mill. Andy would walk down the stairs backward and took a lot of time to wrap and bandage his knees before heading up to the ski hill. We were roommates. I had never seen a person in so much pain and a guy that could barely walk still ski. I asked him how come he never did these things before, because I'd known him for years. He told me that he was always on extremely potent painkillers, but because the IOC was going to test for drugs, he wasn't sure if any of the things he was taking were cleared, because at that time they didn't really have a list of what would be banned. And so he was going to perform drug-free. He wanted to make sure there was no residual performance-enhancing drugs in his body. And so he had to get clean that summer before he would go to the games. I'm Jungle Jim Hunter, and you're listening to 831 Living Your Best Life, where we inspire participation, communicate precision, empower performers to podium, and we would ask you to tell your friends, relatives, and people you work with to go to their favorite podcast provider or junglejimhunter.com or YouTube and subscribe, download, click on like, rate and review us, and become an 831er, somebody that helps them live their best life because we've inspired you to live your best life. Well, it's 37 days to the 32nd Olympic Games and 68 days to the 16th Paralympic Games in Tokyo, so I'm hoping you're going to watch and support our team this summer. Today we're going to talk about the Olympic oath. My question for you is, how many Olympic oaths are there? If you said 1, who's it for? If you said 2, who are they for? The athlete's oath is recited at the Games by athletes representing the participants while holding onto the Olympic flag. And the second one, the official's oath, is spoken by an official representing the officials while holding the Olympic flag as well. Just a reminder so you know what the athlete's and official's oath is all about. This is the athlete's oath. In the name of all competitors, I promise that we will take part in these Olympic Games, respecting and abiding by the rules which govern them, in the true spirit of sportsmanship, for the glory of sport and the honor of our teams. It may surprise you to know that most athletes in the modern era are rarely introduced to the symbols and their importance in many cases until they are at the Games. In the ancient Games, all the symbols and their meanings were part of the daily training, and the oath was introduced very early because it was what the athletes in essence agreed to compete under as the rules of the Games. Every sport has its rules and technical requirements, and the oath represents the Olympic Games, not the sport. Athletes competing today only hear the oath when recited by athletes holding the tip of the flag prior to the Games being pronounced open. Most athletes that I stood next to went, "I didn't know that." I did, but I'm one of these rare people that reads the rule book. Think of the symbolism of the rings, the flag, the athlete, and the oath coming together during the celebrations of the Games, and you understand the richness of what it means to be chosen to be an Olympic athlete. Let's consider the impact of taking an oath. Taking an oath is very serious. In a court of law, if you lie, you can be convicted of perjury. This is how serious this is to the IOC, yet only 2 athletes who read the rule book that I've known kept up to date on the IOC rules and the rule book of their sport. Wayne Gretzky, being one of them, was the only other athlete that I have been told that knew the hockey rule book completely, taking advantage of it in games to win games late in the periods so that the other team got a penalty, giving them a chance to score a goal. Taking the oath is a reminder that you are making a promise to play fair and by the rules. An athlete on a team understands and accepts the responsibility, knowing that anything done outside the bounds of the rules is dishonoring to the team and to their sport. Competing for the joy of sport is an antiquated idea, and I don't know anyone that knowingly cheated, but I am glad the IOC demands and tries to keep sport clean. Athletes become leaders, and although the pressure is there to win, recent cheaters that were caught find life very difficult after being exposed as a cheater. Start down the road of using any and all means of finding a way to win or circumventing the rules and trying to find a secret drug, and you spend all your energy on not getting caught and less on the true potential of you as an athlete. Start with being and following these 10 things that we've found that are identified in the athletes that we've studied and understood that they did. We learned that there are these 10 things at the minimum, and you need to become the best of the best of the best by following them. First, at its roots, emotional stability. They had courage, determination, and excellence, but it was the emotional stability that got them through. Second, it requires mental attitude that is positive, directed, and strategic, and full of faith and belief in what they could accomplish. Third, sport requires physical preparedness. This is including core strength, cardio capacity, strength and speed, and of course, power. Fourth, each demands skills developed to an art form until you are raising the bar to a new level. This has always been the standard in the Olympic Games, is that you have the skills you need when you're raising the bar to a new level. If you don't, well, they used to say you're not ready. Fifth, each event demands tools and tactics that are prepared and applicable within the rules. Sixth, relationships established in a 360-degree dimension, inward, upward, outward, and downward, with clear communication so that everybody on the team knows what's going on. Seventh, each sport governing body determines the rules and standards performed within. And as we've said here, this is the goal of the Olympic Oath, is to remind you to play within those rules. Eighth, sport requires financing. That goes without question, and a balance of meeting the right needs at the right time. Ninth, we must build a team around us, even in a non-team event that pulls everyone together. You need to have a person that is your go-to person for every question that you may have. And so put those people in place before you ever get to the games. Finally, 10th, show leadership. After all, you are one of the best 100 in the world of billions of people, and every part of your action, communication, and test should inspire, communicate, and empower anyone that is watching. There is a rule book for the sport that athletes compete in, and it requires them to know and acknowledge that they will compete within the scope and control of those rules. Andy Mill? Well, on his painful, wonky knees, he fought through the pain and finished 6th in Innsbruck in 1976 on the toughest downhill in Olympic history. He did it drug-free and inspired others of what you can do when you really have to do it. My quote for the day: know the rules, compete within them, and use them to your advantage, and you may become the ruler. Thank you for listening, and I hope you will have grown and will be living your best life the next time we meet.